Awakening Minds from Hypnosis.
Yes, and I'm Santi.
And Rose.
All right, so our topic is going to be about, getting back to nature, understanding and appreciating nature, and the things that we can do to contribute to nature so we can continue, like, in 25 years when our kids are adults, they're not, facing... Who knows what they could be facing in 25 years if there's global warming and there's all of these things that is, basically jeopardizing humanity's well-being. Yes. So that's going to be the topic for today. So what do you think about that, Rose? Like, I'm so, disappointed that we're able to turn on our news channels and see that, dead fish or, just things like that are just, really disturbing.
Just to give a little bit of background, you guys might have seen this on the internet somewhere, but in New York, we already know that we have an issue with pollution, but unfortunately people don't seem to take this type of thing seriously until you have thousands of fish that are backing up, a canal. It raises concern because, first of all, if we stop polluting our planet as much, we will all be healthy and we will all be better off. Before all of these cars and different inventions came around, we were still able to live off of our land, and trust it. Nowadays, it raises concern for me because no matter what, these fish, what do you think are going to happen to these fish? They're not just going to throw them out. No, they're going to sell them to food markets, and we're going to be eating these fish that have all of these different toxins and things like that in it. So it's like, if you're not concerned on one end of the spectrum, you should be concerned on another, because this could be some food that ends up on your plate. So
that is a really, really good point. That's a really good point, because if you think about it, they're already feeding us GMO. Pushing pharmaceutical, drugs down our throat that, has all these side effects that you're trading. Like, let's say you got sinuses for a stroke. You know what I'm saying? That's what the side effects are nowadays for taking these medications. And in every aspect you can think of, they don't really care about our health and our well-being. It's more about profit. We don't give a damn, how they turn out if they try this or try that. And next thing you know, you got tumors or you got, some kind of disease because you were eating something that had mercury in it, or, high in radiation, or, these animals were suffering from polluted, waters because of these oil spills and, these chemicals that these corporations are just pouring in, and the sewage that's spilling into the ocean and, the lakes, the bodies of water that surround cities, that ultimately end up in our water supply. You're bathing in shit, cooking your food with it, and people still drink tap water, you know what I'm saying? And right here in Florida, we, hear reports all the time of E. coli and all of these different things that are just hanging out in our waters and our beaches. And I mean, every time I go to the beach, I don't personally get in the water, but I see people and their kids just out there having a good time thinking that everything's all good. But like, who knows what happens when they go home and weeks later they even got, who knows, may have skin infections or, some internal infections now, or they're, coming up sick. So the things that we appreciated, in the past, we're now jeopardizing and just not really basically taking it for granted and not really appreciating the value of it. And now we're starting to see, the backlash to just totally blatantly ignoring our nature and being able to recycle and contribute to the well-being of nature. It's like we're so used to throwing everything away and not really appreciating what is, how it's actually going to end up in the system. Like later on, if we continue to just throw things away, we don't recycle and we don't use them, and then they stop having places like landfills to put all the trash. I mean, think how many people in this world there is. So eventually, who knows what they're doing with this stuff. I've heard of like big ass islands of plastic and just trash in the middle of the ocean. Like, that's what they're doing, is they're starting to pretty much take, their, these corporations, they're taking their...
They're running out of places to dump this
Yes.
trash at. So this trash is ending up in our oceans. This trash is ending up in places that it has no business being, and that in turn is affecting everything in the globe.
Exactly.
And you brought up a really good point about recycling. It is very important that we recycle. First of all, because I mean, just think about all of the buildings that have been made. Think about all of the paper that you use and waste on a daily basis. That obviously comes from trees. Okay, well, these trees, we're running out of trees. We're not really in a position to keep cutting trees down and acting like it's okay. If we don't have any trees, we don't have any oxygen, we don't have any earth. So it's just important to think about that. And it's like it's been a massive amount of bees that are dying. Okay, well, if we don't have any bees, we don't have anything to pollinate our flowers. Our flowers are going to die. So it's like it's really deeper than, you know, it's deeper. We need to make sure that we're putting in our contribution to help humanity and to help our planet be fruitful how it's supposed to be, or else we're not going to have one. And
exactly.
That's just how it is, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a blessing that there are cultures that actually embrace, you know, planting, you know, trees, planting seeds and stuff to create and, you know, to replenish our earth. So there are people in the world that do that, and those are things that we can be consciously aware of now and try to, you know, put those types of, you know, morals and values in our own lives to contribute back to humanity and our nature. Because the thing about it is, who wants to live in a world where, you know, you're coughing because, you know, you got all this smog and, you know, from all the chemicals and like that. The thing about it is, progressively, that can be a future of ours if we don't stop to think about it now, while we can actually prevent, you know, all of this pollution and things like that. And it's so simple. Really, it's just about our intention. Like, we can just send our energy with intention to heal, you know, bodies of water, and to heal, you know, things in nature that, you know, is becoming it's extinct and things like that. Just having our intention and care and concern about nature can just simply contribute to, you know, having the replenishment of, you know, the nature and things like that. So it's really important to keep those things in mind, because like I said before, if you think about a future where all the trees have been cut down, we can't even go into the oceans anymore and fish to catch our own food and, you know, things like that. It's like there'll be a point where we're really dependent on the system, because now all we eat is GMO and all, you know what I'm saying? Then who knows if life will even be able to exist at that point.
Exactly. And since we've already come to that point, unfortunately, you can't trust your food. They did a research study at one of the colleges, and they test different hamburger meats. And in the beef hamburger meat, they found human DNA. In the veggie patties, they found meat. And so it's like, you really can't just trust what you're being told and trust, you know, the things that you are taking in. And you can read the labels all you want to, but something's not going to really be there. So it's like we have to take control back and, you know, start planting our own food again, start bartering. You know, you can go to the store and you can get something that says it's organic. Well, it's not being sprayed with organic pesticides. It's still getting sprayed with the same things that these other plants are getting sprayed with to help preserve the life value of that. So it can even make it to your stores. So that's something else that we should take into consideration too. The things that we are eating, how it is affecting us, how, you know, all of this ties back into one thing or another.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And that's what's so important, is that, you know, nature ultimately provides us with the habitat, provides us with all our nutrients. You know, we get our nutrients from, you know, minerals and, you know, vitamins and nutrients that actually come from the earth. So like when things in total are done, like where they've taken over pretty much all the land and put their, Monsanto seeds in the ground, and now you can't even grow no natural shit out the ground, and that's when it's gonna become a problem. So it's like before that can happen, if we are all consciously aware of our environment and how we're contributing just to the nature around us, can make a huge difference. There are some cultures that I believe, like, once a person turns a certain age, they plant a certain amount of trees, to just basically, because there's another human being, in life that, is coming in the world, that just taking up that much more oxygen in the world. So it's like, that's a great culture to embrace, because you are giving back to nature, and that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to appreciate our environment and our habitat, because at the end of the day, that's what's giving us life. Like, for some reason, we think that because these corporations giving us a job, that's who we have to dedicate our lives to, and that's who we have to pretty much appreciate. But we don't think about, okay, what if all this shit wasn't built around us, this matrix, these corporations, and pretty much propaganda, oh, let's go to this concert, let's go to this basketball game, let's participate in this and that, which, okay, those things are good, but I'm just saying we have to have a balance where we're not just so caught up in materialistic, things that are just pressed upon us with propaganda and making us feel like these are things that are really important, like patriotism. Like, who gives a fuck about that, really? You know what I'm saying? When you have a country that doesn't really give a damn about you, it's falling apart, and they're not contributing to the land. Like, at the end of the day, that's universal law. We have to give back to the earth. The earth is Mother Nature.
Instead of appreciating the land, they're in turn putting it in more detrimental situations, like with the pipelines in Dakota. That's sacred land. That's land that shouldn't be messed with and hasn't been messed with for years. So it's like, this affects all of us in different ways. And I think it's so beautiful that so many people have gone out there to show their support and do different things to help protect this land, because all of our land is sacred, and we just treat it like it's not. There was a picture taken of Earth in like 1975, and then they took another picture of Earth in like 2000. And in 1975, it was, beautiful blue. You could see the clouds, you could see everything. In 2000, it was gray and yellowish, and it just really didn't look as good as it did back then. And that has to do with all of the pollution, all of the things and pesticides that we're putting in our land, all of the animals that are now extinct and aren't able to do their part in order to help the land grow the way it should. So, it's really important that if you think it doesn't affect you, then you're really mistaken, because it does. It affects us all. Like I said, and like we've been saying, everything has its part. Everything plays its part in this existence. And if we do not play our part in making sure that, if you see something on the ground, pick it up. It's not hard. If you have water bottles that you drink every day, start to recycle them. You're just going to throw it in the trash anyway. Why can't we recycle that so we're not damaging our earth more?
Exactly. And then just certain corporations, period, we shouldn't even invest in. A lot of times we need to do the research and find out, who are we supporting? Because a lot of these corporations, like, first of all, a lot of these huge corporations making all this money, they didn't came up off the backs of slaves, and things like that. So they never appreciated the land. They never, appreciated humanity and nature as a whole. So when they have, now they're this big, huge corporation, and they are the main reasons why we have so much pollution in this world, because they're just over, creating products and things like that for a profit, you know what I mean? And so all of those chemicals and all the experimentation that they use on animals to find out if their product works or not, and just all of these things, these corporations, pretty much are, you know, if you think about it, they're the reason why a lot of these things is happening to our nature. So we have to look at who are we supporting? Like, why, these products that we're buying, who, like, they do animal testing, you know, they, you know, the corporation, what is the history of their growth? Like, where do they come from? Just like Planned Parenthood.
Animal testing is pretty much equivalent to torture.
Exactly.
Being locked up, you know.
They're being tested on.
Tested
you know,
on.
Like
you want somebody testing on you, you know, just, oh, what happens if we pull this here? What happens if we lift that up? Like, that's cruel. It's inhumane. So.
Exactly. And what I was going to say also, just like I wanted to have an example like Planned Parenthood, because, you know, a lot of us support Planned Parenthood, and we think that they're there to help us, you know, but Planned Parenthood always, we know, everybody knows, like, Margaret Sanger was the owner and the creator of Planned Parenthood, and believed in eugenics, and believed in, you know, aborting a certain demographic, you know, and supported abortion, so that way, you know, wouldn't be any overpopulation of that in particular demographic. So the thing about it is, still to this day, Planned Parenthood is this known great big corporation that people support. But at the end of the day, when you know the history of that, you know, a lot of people know the history and they read up on it, but they'll still go to Planned Parenthood and go, you know, and the thing about it is, you just have to understand the background behind some of these things, so that way you're not contributing to something that affected your ancestors and is currently affecting you as well, and has a certain agenda to working against you and not for you. So a lot of times we need to do that additional research, and when we start seeing that animals are dying all over the place, that is like a red flag from the universe saying, look,
get it together.
If y'all don't get it together, if you can already see, you know, once the animals start dying off, who's next? It's gonna be us. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we eat, and our fruit is from the trees. Like she said, if bees become extinct, there won't be any more pollination. And, you know, pollination allows those seeds to be created for trees to grow, and, you know, so on and so forth. There's a certain cycle with nature and earth, and so those things have to be there to continue that cycle. And so, you know, you hear about all these genetically modified things. How do you know they're not creating genetically modified everything? Animals, bees, you know, I'm just thinking, like, they could create this whole atmosphere where we're thinking all this stuff is real, and it could all be genetically modified, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, slowly but surely, God, creation, you know what I'm saying, is no longer, you know, controlled. Not to say it like that, because our creator in the universe will always be in control, but I'm just saying, if we don't wake up and start paying attention, this existence could go a whole nother direction, you know what I'm saying? It could go a way total different direction, just because we are no longer caring about just staying in tune with nature. I feel like staying in tune with nature is like that's like the closest thing to reality, really, is nature. You know what I'm saying? When you go into nature and you see the calmness of nature, you see how animals interact within nature, and you see that if you was deep somewhere off, let's just say you was isolated in the forest, you know what I'm saying, and you're not living in the everyday atmosphere of just the city and, you know, what we know in the city. If you was in that situation, you would be able to live off the land. You would not need to go to the grocery store. Exactly. You would not need to, you know, go pay a light bill, and, you know what I'm saying, and have your electricity on. Like, you would learn how to live off that land, and the land would provide, you know, a natural habitat for you. It would feed you. You would be able to, you know what I'm saying, also clothe yourself. Like, there's just so many things that come from nature that all it takes is just a little understanding and knowledge to benefit from what nature can provide for us.
It's like our ancestors were able to live throughout any situation that Mother Nature sent to them with the same resources of Mother Nature. So it is very important that we show a lot more appreciation to our planet. And once we're able to do that, I feel like we can live in a land where it's supposed to be. You know, if we could get back to bartering, you know, everybody doing their part to make sure that society is running the way it should, to make sure that our land is taken care of the way it should be, without having somebody else barking down our throat or trying to control everything that doesn't even have any good intentions. A lot of these problems didn't even arise until, you know, all of these big corporations came into play.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like it kind of started with the car industry in a sense, because you have all that gas that's constantly being put into the air, and where is it going? You know, it can only go so far. So it's like every day we're breathing all this stuff in and we're putting all this stuff out, and nobody's doing anything to maintain the balance. Not that nobody is doing anything, not enough people are doing things to maintain the balance.
And you know, it seems like as if it's like purposely done anyway, because think about it, we have so many different alternative ways, more healthier ways. Like we have solar energy, we have water, you know, the energy that comes from like a dam and things like that. Like there's so many other resources of energy, but they choose to utilize the most dangerous, you know, polluting ways to, you know, because they're more thinking about a profit. And also, you know, when you know, keeping the population down is important, you know what I'm saying, then they're gonna, you know, think about those things and not necessarily be concerned with healthier alternatives, you know, and things like that. So obviously, you know, there's certain people in power that don't necessarily appreciate life, don't necessarily appreciate, you know, our earth and Mother Nature and universal law. So like, that's 1% of the world though. And, you know, we're the 99%. Exactly. So regardless of what that 1% up to, if we all came together and did our part with Mother Nature, like it doesn't really make a difference what their agenda is.
And
because
as you were
we're
saying,
still making life go, making the world go round.
Right. And as you were saying, it has a lot to do with intention. If you literally just hold the intention of, you know, raising the vibrations of the planet or thinking positive things for the planet. I love Mother Earth. I'm so thankful for the trees. Thank you, God, you know, creator, for the birds. Thank you. You know, it can be as simple as that. And that alone can do so much. Our mind is so powerful. And once we learn to utilize it in the correct ways, we can change this world. Like, we do not have to deal with the cards that we are dealt. We can change the deck. It doesn't have to be this way. And I think that's what the main point is. Like, how many more fish are going to die? How many more birds are going to fall out of the sky? How many... Flint still does not have clean water. Like, how much stuff like this is going to happen before we're like, okay, that's enough, that's it? I mean, are we going to have to lose over half of our population before we care? So it's like we need to take the baby steps to move in the right direction so we can eventually get to that.
And that's so true. And I mean, there's so many studies that show like intention can change just like the molecular makeup of, you know, like a body of water. Like there was studies shown that, you know, if you take, let's say you take a bottle of water, you have two different bottles of water. You just have a regular bottle of water that hasn't been messed with, and then you have another where you have the intention and you write positive affirmations or words on that in particular bottle of water, you know, such as love or, you know, peace or something that's more positive, happiness, exactly. And you put that on that bottle of water, and it instantly under you know, a microscope, you know, you will see that the molecular makeup has changed, you know. So like that, there's been studies of that, as well as, you know, groups of people who have meditated and prayed over a body of water and brought that. So it's like, and then there was also a story about a guy who took a whole bunch of like dead plants from other people's yards and just always gave it positive affirmations, and then has like one of the most beautifulest gardens.
People
like
drive by his house,
yeah,
just to see his garden.
Exactly. And all he did was speak positive affirmations to the dead plants and brought them back to life. So we give life through our intention, through our positivity, our energy. We all have the power to channel our positive energy for healing, or for the planet, other loved ones, and things like that.
Yeah.
We can channel that, and we can send our intention, positive intention, to others who need healing. And since our earth, Mother Earth, is in much need of healing right now, that's something that we could all do. People have their prayers at night. That's something that you can work on. At night you can send a prayer to Mother Nature, and make sure that you are just always keeping Mother Nature in mind, because that is our mother, and that's what gives us life, that's what nurtures us, and that's what provides us with a habitat. Just because we live in apartments and we go to work every day, and we have to laws that we have to abide by and things like that, I think we get so caught up in the system that we forget that nature is the only real thing. Like, nature is our reality. Everything else is just a figment of our imagination, because someone else has the power to control what we think we should be doing on this earth. And that's a lot of times we've been conditioned to just go with the flow of what the system says. But we cannot forget that nature is what is providing us with life at the end of the day. And so, forget Love and Hip Hop, forget the basketball game, forget your favorite TV show that come on HBO. Forget all of that stuff, and take time out of, like, at least a day out of your week where you can just resort to nature, and go out in nature, appreciate what it has to offer. I go outside and I, look at the sky, look at just the motion of the trees, like the air, just you see the air flow and you see them sway. And people don't even take a moment to look at flowers, or just feel the breeze, like, wow, it feels good out here. The sky is beautiful. Oh, wow, look at the stars.
Going outside alone can be so therapeutic. That's, like she said, that's our natural habitat. Nature is our natural habitat. So the effect of simply going outside and breathing in fresh air can do so much for you on a mental level. You hear people get mad and they're like, oh, you need some fresh air, because that literally can change when you breathe in oxygen, that's replacing the old oxygen and washing that out. So it's like you're literally breathing in something new and releasing something old. So with that being said, if we just took a little bit of time to even just go outside to meditate for ourselves, walk around, appreciate, the flowers, appreciate what is there for us to see, that can help raise the vibration of our planet, and that can also do so much for ourselves on a mental level.
That's true. So I feel like, that's a good way to end, and just ask yourself on a day-to-day basis, like, what have I done today to contribute to my habitat, to contribute to what nurtures me every day? What have I done to be able to give back and show my appreciation, and just try to help what's going on in this existence right now with our nature, being able to, like, when we see these posts where we see, this fish wash up on shore, like, let's look at that like, wow, let's feel like that is a big deal. Let's not look at that and just, oh well, a lot of times people look at it and it's not a big deal to them, because they don't understand the impact that it's going to really have on humanity. But just start taking it seriously, you guys. And like I said,
speak life. We need to speak life into our animals, our planet, our plants, our friends. We need to speak life into everything around us, because that is what is going to help everything, be at a higher level. once we're able to do that, we will notice, things slowly make a difference. So if we make a habit of speaking positivity and life into the things around us and into our planet and showing that appreciation, that's what's going to help us get that back in return.
Exactly. That is so true. So let's just, like you said before, keep that appreciation for Mother Nature, because Mother Nature shows, its appreciation for us every day just by supplying us with oxygen, supplying us with water, and just so many things that we need to live and to survive. So you guys, thanks for joining us again for another episode of Intellectual Dopeness, and we will see you guys in the next episode.